Women nowadays are pressured to get pap smears regardless of whether they've been sexually active or not. But why is this? The truth is that all women are presumed to be sexually active once they've reached the age of 18 or 21. To prove this, I'm going to dive into some archived versions of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force's recommendation on cervical cancer screening. But first, let's take a step to go over what a pap smear is and the significance of the USPSTF. What is a pap smear? A pap smear is a screening test designed to catch cervical cancer in its earliest stages by detecting abnormal cells on the cervix, or the lowest part of the uterus. Most cases of cervical cancer are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV, which is a sexually transmitted disease. There are very few cases of HPV that are not sexually transmitted, just like there are very few cases of cervical cancer that are not caused by HPV. Therefore, it's highly unlikely that you'll have cervical cancer if you have not had sex before. Now, what about the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force? The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force is a group of doctors that gets together to review clinical studies and provide the best recommendations for providing preventive care to doctors and nurses. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force has been around since 1984 and has been providing recommendations for just as long. These recommendations are reviewed by Congress and they are used as guidelines for many physicians. One thing that's also important to know about the USPSTF is that after the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010, insurance companies were mandated to cover the cost of any preventive screening procedure that received an A or B recommendation. Now, on to the recommendation statements. The most recent version of the cervical cancer recommendation statement provided by the USPSTF was updated in 2018. There are three versions besides this one that was updated in 2012, one that was updated in 2003, and one that was updated in 96. All three versions are still available on their website. The change from recommending pap smears to women who are sexually active to all women didn't happen until 2012. And the reason for the switch is conspicuously absent. I was looking for the reason their position on this changed in the newer statements, and when I didn't find it, that's why I went back to the old ones. Here's the text I found. Directly from the 1996 statement and the statement in 2003. Testing should begin at the age when the woman first engages in sexual intercourse. Adolescents whose sexual history is thought to be unreliable should be presumed to be sexually active at age 18. Although there's little value in screening women who have never been sexually active, many U.S. organizations recommend routine screening by age 18 or 21 for all women based on the generally high prevalence of sexual activity by that age in the U.S. and concerns that clinicians may not always obtain accurate sexual histories. As you can see, there's no space for virgins in any of this, as the error-free method for doctors is to assume that they don't exist. When the USPSTF switched to recommending pap smears for all women, women could go to their insurance providers and say that they wanted a pap smear covered with no discussion of their sexual history required. However, I don't know of any women who don't want to discuss their sexual history who want an invasive exam from the same doctor. And still, the whole exam would be useless if that woman was a virgin and didn't know that the procedure would not do her any good.